Good afternoon, Dr. Francis.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Dr. Francis, good afternoon.
Maria.
Maria. Maria, good afternoon.
Hello, Moses. Good afternoon.
Elizabeth, good afternoon.
I've always been seeing Elizabeth. Elizabeth.
Mr. Francis, good morning.
How are you?
Oh, afternoon. I'm fine.
Uh,
I've been following up. I've been watching the videos.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I hope you have been practicing.
Yes, I have.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, before others come, do you have any questions you want to ask from what we have done so far? Yeah, any questions? Okay, no questions. So that means that what we have done, we understand it, right? Hello.
Yes, I do.
Okay. But what you guys do maybe in your regular jobs or in the office with Excel, can you attempt it with Python? Yeah. The things you do normally with Excel, can you do it with Python now? Because everything that you have been doing in your Excel, just to see that you understand Python, just try and be using Python to do it. Even if you use Excel and do it. But try and replicate that same task with Excel, with Python. I think with that you will be able to learn more things. Because it's not everything that I'll be able to show you, but just to lay the foundation. Okay. But the more you guys will practice, right, with your own daily task, that's how you actually understand how to use Python much better. Okay, especially now that we have come into Pandas, because Pandas is like the Excel in Python. Okay, I think we can start now, right?
Yes, sir.
We can start. Okay. So we are done with. Are we done with Pandas now? Are we done with Pandas now? Are we done with Pandas?
I don't think there's a way we can really know, because what we did last week was we work on how to create new column, and yes, with superstore data.
Okay. So we know how to import data. We know how to export the data back to Excel, CSV.
Yes,
Yes.
and how to
We
match
know how to clean data.
Yes.
So that's all the big. We know how to select data, isn't it? We know how to drop data, drop a column, isn't it? Create a column.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are some of the basic things. I taught you how to use group, to group by, concatenate, join, group by, is it not?
Yes, sir.
And those are the basic things that you need. So how to do pivot and non-pivot. You can understand the difference between pivot and non-pivot, isn't it?
Yes.
You know how to use melt, how to melt the data, right?
Yes,
We know
sir.
we know how to check if the data is null, if there's any empty missing data, right? And how to handle them. Okay, we know how to do simple descriptive statistics, isn't it? So
Yes,
those
we
are
do,
some
sir.
of the basic things in Pandas. At least what we have done so far is more than enough for you to do anything you need. Okay. Unless they announce specific things. Then I also showed you how to apply functions. Those are your functions, right? How to now apply functions in Pandas. I think we showed how to apply functions in Pandas now, right? Didn't we show how to apply functions?
No, we did. You showed us how to do function, but not to apply it.
We didn't. If I have shown you functions now, that means I showed you how to apply it now.
Yeah.
So apply. So write a formula now and apply it on that column now. We didn't do that.
No, we've not applied it on a column.
Then what do we now write the function to do?
I think we just wrote the functions and then called it. We called the function.
So we did not use dot apply. Maybe apply.
No, I think you had made mention that.
Let's see it. Let's say import. Let's say df equals to pd.read. Which file did I use? Let me try and open it from my. Let me check for where the file path is and copy. Superstore, right? Superstore. Okay, it's called Super. Okay. All right. So say for example, if I have okay, let's say you are increasing this target sales. Say let's increase target sales, let's say by, let's say you want to increase it by 10. You want to increase it by 10%. How do you increase by 10%? If you want to increase this, maybe target sales by 10%.
So if that is the application of the functions, we actually did it.
That you just write a function, then apply. That's all now. The only difference is of me writing the formula every time. I'll just be calling up the function to apply it. Do you not? So for example, we can define maybe what now? What would I call it now? Let's say increase, Abby. Let's call it increase. So I'll have one parameter. All right. So I say return what now? X, times 1.1 or 1.2. We were increasing by 10%, 1.1. Right. So what's the name of that column now? So if I say tf.columns, which one did I talk about? Okay, I say target sales, isn't it? Target sales. So I want to increase target sales. Okay, so it will be df what? Target sales. Let me see, target sales 1. Okay, so I have df target sales dot apply. What am I applying now? The function. What is the function? Increase. So df so that's it now, isn't it? So we have increased this target sales by 10%. So that's just basically it. So the point here is that sometimes when you want to clean data or do certain things, you can just write a function. Once you write it once, you only be calling that function and applying it on whatever columns you want. Okay, so that's basically it. So that's basically it. All right. So I think today what we want to do, we want to get into data visualization. Okay. How do I visualize data? Let me just open a new one so that we can see what we are doing here. So this one we're going to, let's see, we'll use Matplots. So data visualization. Now you know in your Excel, right? You know how you visualize your data in Excel? It's the same way I'm going to visualize your data here. Okay, so here, the same way we have import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. Okay, now you see these ones are basically for your analysis, but when you come for data visualization, so you now increase it now, isn't it? So you can now increase it, import matplots library dot pyplots as plt. Then you can also bring in, now sometimes you can bring in this function, try and run this one to check if your own is installed, but by default most times it's installed. But if it's not, if the library is not installed, how do you install a library? How do you install a library? How do you normally install a library in Python? Yes. How do you install a library in Python? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. I say, how do you install a library in Python? If you want to install a library, how do you install it? How do you install a library in Python? Yeah. We don't know how to install libraries in Python.
No, Mr. Francis.
So we have not talked about pip install in the library. We have not done something like this before, pip install. Have we done anything on pip install before?
I'm not
I
quite
don't think
sure.
so.
I don't think so.
Pip install. I'm sure from the beginning now, when we're importing library, I should be able to do it now. To call a library, where to install the library.
Yes, I think we've done something on how to install a library, how to install a library, but
yes.
I'm not quite sure if we use the function of pip install.
That's the only one that's the way you install it now, pip install. So in case you don't have a particular library, because sometimes when you are trying to learn on your own, you see that they are using certain library, but when you run it or you try to call it import that this thing, you tell you that you cannot find that module. So once you cannot see that module, then you have to what? Import it. Okay, so that would use pip install, then the library name. Okay, so that's for how to install any library that's missing there. Okay, so when you are importing your data visualization, so these ones are for your analysis, to analyze it. Now to visualize it, you need this. Now sometimes you need to also show the visual, because you will notice that when you are plotting it, if it was Excel, you just drag the columns that you want to plot. It's go to insert and put the chart, right? So you see, most time that chart automatically will display it. The Excel will automatically display the chart. But here you need to also be specific and say, please, plot this chart for me. Can you see that? That's why I say PLT, plot it. Okay. And that's why when we now also want to do it, there's also another line we normally type, which is matplotlib inline. So you must always also try and put this together too. So this one, you don't always have, if you do this, you don't always have to type show. It will plot it for you automatically. Okay, that's why you see most time they put this percentage matplotlib inline. Okay, then there's another library again which is built upon the matplotlib, and that's the most common one, the popular one. It's called Seaborn as SNS. Now this is just the general way of typing it, Seaborn, right? Sometimes some people will put SB as Seaborn, but this is just general best practice for it. So these are basically, so when you want to visualize, so when you want to analyze your data, visualize the data, these are the libraries you are going to use. Are you clear with that?
Yes.
Are we clear? Good. But again, if you need help, you go to the help. You see, can you see matplotlib? Then I don't know if you have Seaborn there, but the page has been moved. Okay. So if you go to that tutorials, you will see a lot of this thing there. You see quite a lot there. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. So if we have a data set, should we create a data set? Let's say, for example, and another thing again, you see in your okay, let's just create some. Let's just create so that at least we can still remember how to create them. You know, in your Python, for example, if I want to simply want to create a variable X, then I want to generate maybe random numbers between 11 random numbers between 0 and 5, right? I want to generate 11 random numbers between 0 and 5. So, you know, like, for example, you can use your, what do you call it, line space, right? Line space. And let's create maybe between 0 and 5, 11 numbers. So if I run X, can you see that? So that's, or if I want to create another one, Y, I can say X raised to power 2. So if I call Y, can you see that? So if I have these two variables, X and Y, I have these two variables, X and Y. So if I want to plot them, I can say PL. What does PLT stands for? PLT stands for what?
Plot.
Plot what? So which library am I calling there? Which library is that? PLT is which library?
Matplotlib.
Matplotlib. Now I see it now. Look at it now.
That's plot.
So that's why we're saying plt dot plot. So what am I plotting? X, comma y. That's all now. Can you see it? You know, sometimes again, you know, at this point, you know, the difference now is that if it was Excel, you have to just manage what you are given, isn't it? Unless you now have to now start doing editing. But here you can also put your particular color. Maybe I want blue, or I want red, or I want black. Can you see that? So you can just quickly call the colors. Okay. So you see how easy it is to also plot your charts here, right? Then if you want to, for example, maybe for example, you want to now label it. Maybe if you want to label it, then I have to call it plt dot x label. What do I want to call my x-axis now? Let's say I want to call it number of years. Plt dot y label. So let me call it, what should I call it now? Let's say revenue, or let's say sales. So can you see that now? So you have number of year, you have sales, and you call it black there. So can you see how to plot now?
Yes, sir.
So you see, it's not that difficult now, right? But the only good thing about it is that the more complex you get, you can customize it to the minute details as you want. Unlike if it was Excel. Okay. Even sometimes, let's say if I want to import. Okay, let's say we have a very large data set. Maybe I have a very large data set. Let's say we want to create a range. Let's say between. Okay. Let's create a range. Let's say data equals to. How do I create a range? So list of range. Let's say 1 to 1,000. Is this 1,001?
Yes, sir.
So if I call data, all right, this is how we do it normally, isn't it? This is how we do it normally, okay? But you see here, if I was to plot it now, let's say, let me plot maybe like a histogram. Let me say data. Can you see what it's giving me? But you see, because it's generating it like 1 to what now? As it generating it now, let's see data.
For 200 intervals.
Can you see that it's going 1, 2? So it's not, you will not really understand it this way. But you know, most time this one is just picking from that first one to 1,000. But you know, in practice, the data is usually random. Is it not? The data is usually what? Random. So rather than getting the data this way, what we can simply do, we can use there's a function called random, isn't it? You can say import random, right? Or alternatively, when we do random, I can say from random import sample. Okay. So which means if I want to create my data, I'll say data, let's say sample, let me call range 1 to 1,000. Yeah. So let's say how many do I want to get? Let's say hundreds. Get me 100 from 1 to 1,000. So let's run data. So can you see it has generated random numbers for me? 100 numbers for me, isn't it? right? So that generated a number. So if I was to plot it now, if I was to plot the histogram, so how will I plot this histogram now? How do I plot the histogram? Plot hist data. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
That's just basically it. Now you still have some other ones, like for example, I think you also have box plots, but now you must have maybe 2-3 variables. I don't think we have many variables. That means I have to be creating all the variables one by one. Okay. Now, but you see, inside your is it pandas? Inside pandas, they already have some inbuilt data set already. For example, there's a popular data set they call Iris. Yeah, there's a popular data set called Iris. I think it's Iris now, yeah. Iris, I think, yes. So if I run pd.read CSV, right? There's a data called Iris, but I can't remember if, let me see, Iris. Let me show how can, because you can also bring Iris from inside you can also bring these data sets from inside pandas. So I think what you do normally, I think there's a function called load data set. This is how we normally have imported it, right? Load data set. But I'm trying to remember the name of the data, whether it's Iris. Okay. But let me try it again. Let's see, Iris. Okay, but that one will be under what they call it. That one should be under your Seaboard. So I think there's a library called load data sets. So let me see if Iris is there. There's Iris there. So Iris. Okay, can you see the data set now? So it's inside your Seaboard. I think you also have another one, maybe tips. Yes, I think that one called tips. Load data sets. Tips. Yeah, if I run tips now, yeah, can you see that? So they also have their own data sets inbuilt. Okay, but that is for Seaboard. Load data sets. Then if I press Shift Tab, let me see. But you see, it requires internet, right? But these are some few data sets that I can remember, but there may be other ones. So this is how we can get data. Can you see that? Already inbuilt data. Okay. I think Titanic is another one. Titanic data sets. Titanic. SNS.load data sets. Titanic. Titanic, yes. Yes, so these are data sets now. Okay, beautiful. So we can use any of these data sets. Okay, we can use any of these data sets. Okay, we can use any of these data sets. Now you see, when you are working with your data, right? When you are working with your data, for example, if I say plt.plot, okay, let's use box plot. So I've shown you line chart, I've shown you histogram, right? You have what they call box plots. Let me see these box plots. Now you must have certain variables. Now you must have certain variables. I'm trying to see which one will be easy for us to use. Now you must have certain variables that you want to plot. Okay. Okay, let's look at it this way. Now let's use but this is what you normally use your plots, which is your matplotlib. Okay. But this your Seaborn is built on matplotlib, just like your pandas is built on NumPy. Your Seaborn is based on matplotlib, okay? But this is a more better way. So that's why I see most times they will use this Seaborn rather than using matplotlib. So let's just be using Seaborn now. Okay, we can use Seaborn. So if I want to call Seaborn, Seaborn is what? SNS, isn't it? Dot. Then you can now call whatever this thing you want. But let me see, does it have any other, like, okay, unless we go to documentation, then you see most of them. Okay, you see most of the charts there. Or again, you know, when you are trying to learn all these things, what are those common charts you normally do in Excel? What are those common charts you do in Excel?
Line chart.
You do line charts.
Bar chart.
Scattered dots, scattered
Chart.
graph.
Scatter graph.
Pie chart.
Yeah.
Histograms.
Histograms. So I think we'll try and look for how to do some of them. You see, like even your histogram, you see, instead of you doing histogram, right? Now they have some other ones. You know your histogram, you would have drawn it. Let me show you how you know your histogram. When you are drawing your histogram, you have your histogram, something like this. Right? Then you now have like a frequency polygon drawn on it. I think this is what they taught us in primary school now. Something like this.
Yes, sir.
Good. So you see, like in Excel, does Excel have this? Where you now impose the chart on top, this line chart on top. Apart from doing combo charts.
Not sure.
Not sure. Now I see sometimes those statistical graphs, right, that you need. That's where you now see Python now, and this library Seaborn becomes more powerful than your Excel. Okay, but for example, what you can do, this is called dist plots, distribution plots. Okay, let's say, which one should we use? Let's say tips. Let me see tips. What do we have in tips? Okay, total bill. Okay, let's say total bill. All right, total bill. All right, total bill. Okay, so if we want to plot it, so let's say SNS dot dist plots. Okay, now the column we are looking for is what? Tips total bill, right? Or total bill. Aha, good. Can you see what it looks like now? Total bill. So that's like a distribution plot. Okay. Now, sometimes again, if you don't want to plot that alone, because sometimes they call it a density. Yes. So let's look at this again. So if I want to do the same thing, SNS dot this plot, let's say, let me call tips total bill, right? Total bill. Okay, now we can have our, what they call that thing, KDE. It's something if I can't remember, I just press Shift Tab. Let me see if I remember all of them now. So you see here, if you want to learn how to do it, can you see all of them there? Beans, KDE, so kernel density estimates. Okay, you see all of them here. You see example. Can you see the example? You can just copy it now, go and paste it there, then go and plot. So everything you want to learn, just press Shift Tab. it will give you the details of everything you need to enter. Okay, so you can see the KD. This is true, isn't it? Now that means if I don't want to plot this density, I will just say KD is equals to false. Okay, KD is equals to false. Can you see that it's no longer there? But by default, it's going to plot it there for me. But if I don't need it, I'll just say KD is equals to what? False. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Can we do funnel chart there, sir?
Funnel charts. By default, funnel charts. Let me see. Funnel charts. I don't think I've seen funnel charts, but we can always look it up if you can
Okay,
see
sir.
funnel charts. But I want to just go through the basics, then I'll check on we'll look for the documentation if there's funnel chart. But if there's no funnel chart, there must always be a way to do it. There
Okay,
will
sir.
always be a way to do it. But while I'm going through it, I will just try. Once I'm done with most of the charts, then I think we can check funnel charts. Just remind me.
Okay,
Let's
sir.
just go through some of the basic ones. Okay. Now there are some other charts again you want to plot. Let's say, for example, so let me say tips. So let's say I want to plot, let's say, okay, total bill and tip. Okay, these are the two quantitative variables we can plot, right? Okay, total bill and tip. All right, good. So here I can have SNS dot joint plot. So there's something they call joint plot. So I want to put two variables together. They call it joint plot. So X is equals to, let's say X is our total bill. Total bill. And let's say Y is our tip. Okay. But you see, if I run it like this, there's no data there, because if I check the documentation, you see you have to specify the data. Can you see the data? You must specify the data. Okay, so I must specify the data. So even after I put it, I'll say data is equals to tips. Can you see that? Data is all tips. So all these things that I'm doing, it's not that I will, if I cannot remember them, I can just come here, copy them here. You see that? You can say no. Can you see that? Then you even have like color, you have height, you have ratio, drop any. Can you see that? You have quite a lot. So it all depends on what you want to do, and they will explain everything that you need there. We explain everything that you need there. Okay, so this is what they refer to as what the joint plot. Okay, that's like the joint plot. So it's like blending the scatter graph and your histogram. This one showing your scatter graph, and like, can you do this in Excel? Do you have this one in Excel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have this chart in Excel.
Yeah, the scatter.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's this joint
The
plot,
one
both
with
scatter
three
graph and
faces.
the
No,
histogram.
No.
don't have it.
That one you do it separately now, right?
Yes.
That one you have to do it separately. Okay. Now, even there are some charts. We even look at it. Where do these people get this type of charts from? Like, you see this scatter graph like this. There's something they call what do they call that? Let me check again. SNS dot joint plot. Shift tab. SNS joint plot. So can you see kind of plot to draw? Can you see you can have scatter? So let's say kind. Where is kind? You see kind by default is scatter. Can you see that? By default, it's a scatter chart. But you can also have some other types of charts. You can see you have KDE, you have histogram, you have red, you have receipt. So let me copy that out. So we'll try it out. Okay, so let's do it. So we have SNS.joint plot. We have X. What's our X? This is total bill. Total bill. You have our Y, which is our tip. You have data equals to tips. Now you can also specify the kind of chart you want to see. So this one is scatter. So let's say KDE. KDE. Let's see. Can you see it? Can you see how it's plotting it? If, for example, I say, okay, I want histogram. Histogram. Can you see it? If I want, which other one again? Hex. Can you see it? So these are now different ways of now plot. So sometimes when you see all these charts, you're wondering, how are they doing them? Receipts. Okay. Then if you want regression. Can you see that? So these are now different ways of what? Plotting it. Okay. So especially when you are dealing with, you are doing your what they call exploratory data analysis. You're just trying to explore the data. Okay. Now there's still another one again, they call pair plots. But that pair plot means you must have a lot of variables, right? A lot of variables. You want to take all, you know how you have your correlation matrix. You know your correlation matrix. Do you know your correlation matrix? In Excel now, do you remember our correlation matrix in Excel?
Yes, we do, sir.
So the way you have correlation matrix, you can also do a chart of it. Okay, but that one is called pair plots. Although I'll show you how to also plot correlation matrix. That one they will call it heat map. But you have the one they call pair plots. SNS.pair plot. So to plot, let's say tips. Okay, yes. So can you see that if you plot all the charts, you take one against this against this. Can you see that this against whatever? You plot all of them for you in one chart. The same way, if for example, I want to add, you know, most of these variables, right? Remember, we mentioned that the way you understand your data is what will determine how you want to plot. So let's say tips, right? So we have, for example, okay, total bill and gender. Okay, that's the sex of this thing, isn't it? So if on the chart now, I want to be specific about separating, okay, which one is male, which one is female. You see of this one now, this is the total chart now. This is everybody, both male and female. But if I want to specify now, okay, I want to know which one is male, which one is female in this relationship, then let's look at it now. So I can have SNS.pair plot. Okay, I will have tips. Then I'll say hue equals to sex. Can you see that now? So you see the blue is for what? Male, while the orange is for what? Female. But you see on this original, it's still the same thing, but now it has now separated male from what? Female. Can you see that now? So they call it hue. So again, if I go to my SNS.pair plot, shift tab, then I can now look at what they all mean. So if I go and read through, can you see it? Hue, name of the variable. So that hue means name of the variable in the data. Have you seen that now? So that is that hue, name of the variable in the data. Okay. So they also have some other ones. Sometimes even the colors, you can even also add to them. You can even also add to the colors. So for example, you can have the colors, they will call it palettes. Palettes, right? They can choose either cool, warm. Let me see. I think I have warm color. Do you have warm? No. What about cool? Okay, can I see it? This is cool. Is there cool? Let me see, cool, warm. So you can have different ones. So you can have this cool, you can have warm. But let me check if there are other colors again. If I can remember the palettes. Okay. But again, all these ones you can check in the documentation. It's in documentation, you will see most of the details of everything. Okay. Now, you know, normally the normal way we normally plot in Python, right? We want to do like a simple bar chart, right? We want to do a simple bar chart. Okay. Now you see when you are doing that, so that one is called bar plot. Okay, so let's say, for example, let's look at the data again, tips. Okay, let's say I want to plot, I want to plot gender by, maybe gender by total bill, okay? You know how normally you plot your charts, isn't it? So this will be something like this. This will be something like this, something like that, right? So this one maybe can be male, this one can be female, right? Then on this axis now, this will be my total bill. I think this is how we plot in Excel now.
Yes,
This is
sir.
how we normally plot it in Excel, isn't it? So in the same way, but the only thing now here, we'll just call it, so here we have sns.barplot. It's called bar plot. And this is one common one that we normally use, okay? Now, this is my x-axis, right? X-axis, this is y-axis, right? So we are specifying, so x-axis is what? So if I have if I press Shift Tab, it will show me. You see, x-axis come first. It's not that I'm the one that will do it the way I like. No, I'm following this order. You know, when you are writing your functions, you specify the variables that you want. That's why you do your docstring, isn't it, to specify? So that's why sometimes you may not remember everything, but once you remember, oh, it is this thing, it is bar plot I want to do, then you now describe it for you. So you just press your Shift Tab to see the details, okay? So in that case, let's say X is let's say sex, then let's say Y is total bill, total bill, okay? Then my data, don't forget my data is equals to tips. So can you see that? Data is what? Tips. Data is what? Tips. Okay. Now, sometimes again, you can also do the same thing, but you know, if it is if for example, is gender, right? You want to plot gender. You want to plot gender. You know gender by default, right? So if I come here and say tips.describe. Tips.describe. You know, for example, you see like gender now, your describe will only get out only the quantitative variables, right? But if it's qualitative variables, what can we do for qualitative variables? For qualitative variables, what do we do for qualitative variables? Yes, for qualitative variables, what do we do for qualitative variables? Qualitative.
You can count.
Count, is it not? Count. And that's very important, count. So most time, most of your qualitative variables, you're actually doing a count. Is that not it? So for example, if I have gender, if I want to plot for gender alone, right? That means I have to do a count for it. So in that case, rather than me using bar plot, I'll use what they call count plots. So SNS dot count plot. Okay, so X is what? This is 6. And data is equals to what? Tips. Can you see that? So male, female. Now you see, let me try again. You see the same thing I want to plot here. Rather than me calling to SNS.count plot, now I can call, let me see if I call 6 and call tips. Will this one work? So it will not work. So I have to specify that this is my X. Okay, that means I have to call, let me see, tips. No. So what I was trying to do, I want to see whether I must call those arguments. So this one must call it data. Okay, so that's the only way it will work. Okay, that's fine. So you can do what they call a count plot. Are we clear with this? So for your variables, you do what? A count plot. Your qualitative variables, you do a count plot. But if it's your normal quantitative variables, so you want to see this by this, then you have to do what they call a bar plot. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we
Yes,
clear?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. You know, sometimes again, so if I look at the data again, let's say we have, okay, let's look at, so we have gender. They want to check, okay, those that smoke. Right? You want to check those that smoke. Okay, those that smoke. So either you're a smoker or non-smoker. Right? Whether you're a smoker or non-smoker. Okay. So if I want to check whether you're a smoker, so what do I do? So what do I do? To check for smokers. So how do I plot the chart for smokers to know how many people are smoking and not smoking?
A count plot because it's qualitative.
Okay, SNS.count plot. Okay. So what do I have?
X is
X is equals to smoker.
data is tip.
Data equals to tips. Okay. Is it not? So this is what you have. Now let me see. How do you get the labels? Because there are sometimes you need to also show the labels on top. But here will be about to check the labels. Let me see. Can you write the labels? Labels. Let me see. Color orients. Oh, that's orientation. Okay, I will check documentation later for the labels. But again, of these ones now, how do we know how many are female and how many are male? You see that? So I want to still break it to now know, is it more males that smoke? So of this one that said yes, can you tell us if it is more males or females that smoke?
No.
Can you see that? So I want to now check of these ones that said yes or this one that said no. So we say yes. So most people here from this data do not smoke. Is that not it?
Yeah.
That's what it's showing us now. Now, of the ones that smoke, who smokes more? Is it male or female? What do you think? Is it male or female? Who do you think will smoke more, male or female?
Hypothetically,
Yeah?
generally. General believe male.
Male generally, is it not? And that is the way
Yes,
you
sir.
see when you are analyzing data, you know, there are some questions that come naturally, and you should expect some certain answer, isn't it, from your own experience? Okay. So now that's where now the data will now say, okay, actually, it's not the way I was thinking about it. Okay, then data will now tell you a different thing. So in that case, I will now want to get, so remember, if I want to select the particular variable, I'll use the hue, isn't it? So I have sns.count plots. So X is, let's say, smoker. Data is equals to tips. Then I have hue. Hue is what now? 6, I think. So hue is 6. Okay. So here we have seen that male smoke more than what? Female. Is that not it? Now, if I want to ask, okay, what time of the day do they smoke more? So can you see day? So this is day. Maybe whether this is or time. Can you see at what time do they smoke more? Is it lunch time, dinner, breakfast? You get? So at what time do they smoke more? So you see how you can start going into the details there. And that's why you see, as data analyst there, you see date time, date and time is very important dimension, okay? So that's why when we get to Power BI, right, we'll start showing you how to now start getting your data. In fact, this is your dates and time, very important. Because you see that when we're dealing with HK, we hear of date time, isn't it? Date time. So what is today's date? So we have 20, today's what, 26th of June 2022, isn't it? 2022, isn't it? What is the time? This is 2:03 p.m., right? Now, do you know that this is data? Do you know that this is data? Do you know that this is data now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So what kind of data can you see from here? What kind of data can you see from here now? What kind of data can you see?
It's time.
Date and time.
So what data, specific data you can see?
That's
Specific data.
quantitative.
But let's be
Qualitative.
specific of the data we can see from here.
Okay, 26th of June, 2022. Time 2033. That's longitudinal data.
26th of June is what? This 26 is what?
Is it day?
Is the
Day.
day. That is one variable. What is this?
Month.
That's another variable. What is this?
Year.
Yeah. Is it not? Yeah. And that thing again inside month, you can also bring out what? Quarter. Is it not? Which quarter is this?
Second.
Second quarter. Do you get? Second quarter. This is time, is it not? Time.
Yes.
So this is like time. You can have, you know how you have it, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 to what now? So about what now? Is it 23 or
24. No, 23.
23, right? 23.
Yes.
So will it start from 0?
Yes, start from 0 since it's 20,
So this
ending at
is
23.
12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So this time is what now? 2 o'clock is what time?
2 is the hour.
Yes, the
14.
hour. Exactly. This is the hour. Is what? 14,
14.
right? 14,
Yeah.
right? 14, isn't it? Then you know this is it day or night?
Day.
It's day, isn't it? Can you see how the data is coming out now? Then, or it can even be PM or AM. Do you get? It can be either PM or AM, day or night. So can you see from date alone? Can you see how many variables have come out?
Yes, sir.
And that is how you can dimension everything. So even if it's your sales that you're making, you are trying to dimension by sales. Which day do we make most sales? Which month do we make most sales? Which year did we make more sales? Which quarter do we make more sales? Which time of the day do we make more sales? Can you see that? So you can break it down into as you can be detailed as possible in your analysis. So that's why I say you need to learn how to see data in almost everything. Okay. Even this one now, you can even see day of the week. Day of week. Is it not? Day of week. This one is Sunday now, is it not? Day of week. Sunday. Right? So we can break it down into so many distinct dimensions. Okay. And this is very important when you are doing your what? Analysis. Very important. It's just like saying, for example, you know, cost of fuel. And most businesses are running on fuel or diesel because of power shortage, isn't it? Now it means that if cost of fuel is going up now, and because this is going to impact my bottom line now, is that not true? Because as your expenses are rising, it's going to impact your bottom line. Okay. Now the question you now need to ask: how else can we what manage this our what fuel? Isn't it? So what do you need to look at now? So how do you manage the fuel? How do you manage the fuel?
Manage
By what?
like if you're driving now, so maybe if you're in traffic, you put off your.
Now I'm talking about running in an organization in terms of
Okay.
running the business, yes. How can you now manage the fuel?
Maybe you could say during the off-peak period. If there's
You see? So how will you determine the peak period and off-peak periods?
you can look at, okay, how many, when do we really make enough sales? When do we have a lot of-
Beautiful. Can you see that? Which data do you need to answer that question? Which data will you need for that?
You need sales data from sales.
You need data for sales, yes. What again do you need?
You need data for, let's say, number of customers coming in and out of the office.
Okay, customers. Okay.
Need sales
What-
data.
Yeah, what again do you need? What other data do you need?
Sales customer.
And that very critical variable you need now to analyze this is what?
You need data from the quantity of fuel. Now, how many do you use per time?
Quantity of fuel.
As in how you consume, let's say, maybe facility management.
Mhm. Quantity of fuel used per day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what again? What again? You also need this one now. What's this?
The day and date and time.
The time, isn't it? You need the time. So by the time you plot on the chart now, isn't it? You can see your sales. Oh, this one may be very low, or even not in there. Then at a particular time, you know, it peaks at a particular time, peaks at a particular time, isn't it? Peaks at a particular time, then drops again. So at this period now, you now know, okay, since this is when customers come, so rather than me burning fuel from this point to this point, I can start the fuel, putting the gen from this particular time. You see how the data is now telling you when to manage your fuel.
Yes.
Can I see that? So sometimes there are some variables that exist that we do not even use at all. Can you see that? So that's how data can help you guide your operations, save you costs. It's not that you say, oh, we need to open at this time. You are using data to drive your decision. Is that clear? So that's why anytime you see time, time is a very important variable. Day is a very important variable. Date time. That's why I see most analysts, they look for a way to dimension the day and time. Because you can start breaking every single analysis by day, month, year, quarter, week, times, hours. You can go to that level. Okay. All right. Are we clear with this?
Yes, we
Are
are,
we
sir.
clear with this? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So the same way, so that is why when you look at this data, you see how they have now converted to day, whether it's Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, that is day of the week. Can you see that? Day of the week. Time. Can you see time now? It's another word, important word, variable there. Okay. So in this case, so if we were to now break it or dimension it again, so we can dimension by, okay, which day of the week do they smoke more? So which day of the week do they smoke more? So how do I do that? Which day of the week do they smoke more?
SNS count plot.
So SNS dot count plot, yes.
X is equal to day.
X equals to what?
Day.
Day.
X. Okay. Okay. Smoke. We have to X. Y is equal to. We need Y. Smoker. Data is ticks. Y is supposed to be
Like this.
Yes.
Yeah, let's run. So I don't know what you're talking about. So cannot pass value.
For both X and Y. Oh, okay. Are we going to use no? Okay, X is smoker. Are we going to use hue? Will now be day.
Good. So X is smoker. Y was hue is equals to
Day.
like this. Yeah. So for those that smoke, so which day do they smoke?
They smoke on Sunday, Saturday, all the day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So which day do they smoke more?
No, Saturday.
On Saturday, isn't it? Good. On Saturday. So if you are a store now, at least you know which day your products should stock more, right?
Yeah.
So this is how data can help you drive decisions. Okay. So I'm sure we are clear with this now, right?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I don't understand the HUE, sir. Is it in the data dictionary for plots?
You said what?
The HUE is in the data dictionary for plot, for visualization or what?
Which HUP? This hue?
Yes.
You know, when you look at this thing, count plot, right? Count plot. So if I press Shift Tab, you're going to see all the arguments that you need.
Okay.
And if you come down, you read it, what it means.
Okay, sir.
You see hue. Okay, like they say orient. So let me see orient. Orient. This is vertical. Let's say H. Let me see. So let me say V. And this one is still. Was there any change? Not necessarily, but that's where you pick all the this thing. Right? If when you're practicing, you can just go there.
Arguments.
Yes, and pick
Okay,
all
sir.
of it from there. Yeah. Okay, so that's count plots. Okay, count plot. You also have some other plots. You can talk about count plot. You can talk about factor plot. They have so many kinds of plots. There are so many other kinds of plots. Okay. So let's say, for example, count plot. So let's say count plots, right? You know, count plot, most time you are using it for qualitative variables, right? You're using it for qualitative variables and also dimensioning it by qualitative variables. Can you see that? That way you're using that count plot. But sometimes when you have both maybe quantitative and qualitative variables together, right? So in that what was that first one we have done? Bar plots. You see bar plots now, what we have done here. So where we have SNS dot, let's see, bar plots. So let's say our X is what? Let's say our X is day. Let's say our Y is total bill. Then we have our data is equals to tips. I think this is what we plot now, isn't it? Something like this, right? You see what you are doing here, you can also do what they call factor plots. There's also what they call factor plots. Can you see that? Factor plots, you can do that. But if I want to get back this same data like this, then I have to now specify that what kind of plot do I want? I want it to be a bar. Bar, let me put it. I want it to be a bar plot. Can you see that now?
Yes.
So you can also do that. You can also do that. So if you want to go and learn more about it, so just click on this thing there to show you all that. So you can use the factor plot, so there are so many other ways of doing it. Okay, so most times that's when you use either your count plot or your bar plots. Most times. All right, another one again I wanted to show you was that. So I wanted to do the box plots, right? Box plots. You know, most times if you want to check whether, how do you know if there's an outlier in your data? How do you know if there's an outlier?
You look at the minimum and the
It will
maximum.
be
You
scaled.
look at minimum and maximum, isn't it? So, for example, if I check, let's say tips.describe. So if I see minimum, see maximum. So total bill is what? 58, minimum 3. Okay, tips 1, 10, size 1, 6. So based on this data, can you tell if there's an outlier? Can we tell if there's an outlier? Can you tell if there's an outlier?
No, really, though 50 seems very proper.
Huh?
No, really, though 50 seems
For the
very.
total bill, it seems.
Okay, not really, isn't it? Now you see where your domain knowledge comes in. If, for example, you have been in this industry, right? You have been selling this particular product, right? You have an idea of like an average what somebody spends on smoking, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get, so by looking at the data, so if you have that experience over time, by looking at data already, you can tell if there's an outlier or not, right? You can tell if there's an outlier or not. Okay, but by looking at, say, okay, minimum that somebody spends is minimum is about, let's say, $3, right?
on average they spend $19, but somebody is spending $50. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's telling you because the 50 is quite far from the mean. So
It's
not-
quite far from what the mean, isn't it?
Yeah.
So does that tell you there's likely an outlier there?
Yeah.
So to confirm that, so sometimes when you're not clear, right, you can use this, but when it's not so clear, then you can use what they call the box plot. So the box plot, you just describe it. What you have done here is going to describe it for you graphically. Okay, so that you understand what's happening. So let's say SNS.boxplot. Okay, so let's say we are looking at what and what now. Which variables do you want to look at now? Let's say by, okay, let's use by gender. So let's say X is equals to 6, then Y is equal to total bill. Okay, data is equals to tips. So what does that tell you? Is there an outlier? Is there an outlier?
Yes.
Yes, there's an outlier. Okay. If, for example, let's say by day of the week, let's say day of the week, is there an outlier?
Yes.
Yes, there's an outlier. Can you see that? So what is your box plot does for you? Can you see this is minimum? This is like, you see, this is like, where was your average just now?
19.
Your minimum was what?
3.
Minimum was 3. So you have 3 around somewhere. Maximum is what? 50. Can you see? Can you see where your 50 is? This is for that particular day, isn't it? So your 50 was somewhere here. So this was giving you the minimum, maximum for each of them. Can you see this for each of them? Okay, so that means the maximum for minimum. Can you see this 3 now? Can you see this one is down up to 3 there?
Yeah.
This is about the 50 somewhere there. Okay, and it makes sense that because you have seen from the data that most people smoke on Saturdays, right? Probably there's an explanation. Why do you now think people smoke more on Saturdays? Okay, so those explanations, that is where your experience, your domain knowledge now comes in to now give better understanding of why, what's happening in data. You see, that's why if you want to analyze data, you see, the first thing you must understand how the data is measured, understand the interpretation of the data. That's where you can actually draw unique insights. It's not just by analyzing it. It must make meaning to you. You must give possible explanation why. This is what we should have expected, but this is what is actually what happened. They give instance of why you think possible causes or reasons why that is happening. Okay, so what this generally does for you, it will give you the minimum, it will give you the maximum, is it not? It will give you the average. Okay, so this is like the average. Then this is like the quartile 1, quartile 2, or what they call the median. So the median will be somewhere there. Okay, so you have quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3. Okay, lower quartile, median, and what? Upper what? Quartile. Okay, then this is the maximum. If it's an outlier, you see a dot outside, so that's an outlier. Is that okay?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that clear? Good. So most
Yes,
times,
sir.
when what you are doing as your descriptive statistics, you can also use your box plot to do that. You know, sometimes let me see if that will work. So orient. This is vertical, right? So let's say horizontal. Doesn't work. Horizontal. Let me see. Why don't orient horizontal work? Okay, let's see. SNS dot box plot. Let's say data is tips. So this one will only bring out only the quantitative variables. Okay, only the quantitative variables. Okay.
Then let's say orient. Let's say, aha, so it works like this now. So you can also do it this way. You can also do it this way, orient. Then sometimes too, you can also, just like we're trying to get day and time, you know, day. So let's do it this way. For example, if I have let's say tips, let me see. Okay, day, total bill, okay. Then whether the person is the smoker or non-smoker, okay, good. So let's do it this way. SNS dot box plot. So let's say X is day. Let's say Y will be what? Y is what? Total bill, right? Then data is equals to tips. Then hue, let's say, is equals to smoker. Smoker. Let's run and check. Good. So yes, so of the ones that smoke, you can now see those that who smoke. But I'll try and see how to get out the labels out. But I'm sure to be in documentation somewhere. The labels. Now they have other funny plots too. Just like you have your box plots. There's another one they call violin plots. SNS.violin violin plots. So let's say, for example, we have X is equals to day. You have Y is equals to total bill. Then you have data is equals to tips. So this is what they call violin plots. Violin plot. So the slimmer it is, that one will show you whether there's an outlier or not. Okay. So you have violin plots. So just the same way you can also have maybe hue. Let's say 6. So you can also have almost the same thing like that. Okay. Now there are some other plots again, or some other funny plots. But these ones, you may not have them in Excel unless you go to your Microsoft markets. Then you can check for some funny charts you can have there. But normally you will not have this kind of a chart in your Excel. So let's say day, let's say Y is total bill. Then let's say data is equals to tips. So this is what they call strip plots. So they are all forms of your box plot. Box plot is just the traditional way of doing it, right? But you see, with Python now, things now become more flexible. You even have another one. They even call it what they call that name again? Is this swarm plot? Swarm plot. Swarm plot. So the same way, let's say X is day. Let's say Y is total bill. Total bill. Then let's say data is equals to tips. Yes, so this is what they call a swarm plot. And they're all telling you similar story. They're all telling you similar story. All telling you similar story. Okay, I'm sure we're okay with that now, right? Are we okay with this? Box plot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, box plot, okay. So most time when you are doing your most EDA, exploratory data analysis, those are things you just go around the variables to just understand it better visually. Okay. Now, sometimes you may also want to, so you know how to do your normal correlation in Excel, right?
Yes, sir.
So here in Python, if I was to do a correlation,
For example, let's say tips, right? So this is data. So if I say tips.describe, what have I done here? This is descriptive statistics, right? But if I want to do a correlation matrix, it's just simply tips.correlate. So can you see that? This is the correlation now. We know how to interpret this correlation. Do we know how to interpret this correlation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good. Okay. So let's call it in a variable. Let's say, what should we call it now? Correlates is equals to tips. Now, do you see how easy it is to run correlation? So I'll call it inside here, correlate to. Okay. So there's a map, what they call heat map. It's called heat map. SNS.heatmap. Okay. Now, in this heat map, you will see the data. What's my data? What's my data called?
Your data is now.
Correlate, isn't it? That's correlate. That way I put it there. So I'll put it inside here. Correlate. Let's see. Oh, it's ambiguous. It's ambiguous. Okay, let me call. So tips.correlate. Let's see. So what if I decide to call everything once? So what if I call it SNS.heatmap? Then for the data, I will now call it what now? For the data, I will call it tips.correlate. Will this one work? Yes. Okay. But why did it allow me to do it? Let me see again. So let's say correlate. Okay, let me call it matrix equals to tips.correlate. Right? So let me run it again. So let me call this maths. Sorry, maths. It can work now. So this is what I've done. You create it in a variable. They now call this variable. I'm sure it was that name that was not clear. Okay, you can now call it there. But again, you can also change the colors if you want to. Or sometimes you can also change. So for example, I can have, if I cannot remember, I press Shift Tab. So you can check the colors that you have there. Okay. So math color map. Color map. So it's color map. Okay, C map. Do we have any colors there? I'm looking for specific colors. But if you go to documentation, you will see quite a lot. I think we have what they call, can you see the C map? Can you see this color here? So you can just copy it out. You can copy that color out. You can copy that color out. So they have quite a number there. So for example, if I say comma C map is equals to, can you see the color now? Just like the one we had, SNS.heatmap, math, comma, C map is equals to, was it cool warm? Yes, cool warm. So you can have different colors like that. So you can just check on the documents and you have it there. Now you see, sometimes you may have to put, for example, I cannot see the matrix, so I don't know which is which. So what you can also do, you can also label it. So that one I will say annotate. Annotate is equals to true. Annotate is equals to true. So can you see now? So what I have here, can you see what I have here? This is now a graphical representation of it. That's a graphical representation of it. As a graphical representation of it. So are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Good. Which other one again? I think those are the basic charts. the basic charts that we need. Those are the basic charts that we need. Okay. Yes, so let me check. So what somebody was asking was labels, isn't it? The labels. But you see, when you want to label, so let me check. Which one did we say? So adding labels to this, isn't it? So if you want to add labels to this, let me see, labels. So when you're adding labels, when you're adding labels, so normally your, so let me just call it out again. So this is a tips. Okay. So let's say we are doing, let's say what's now do we want to do now? So I want to see, do a count plot, right, of male and female. So if I have sns.count plot, right, I have x is equals to sex, right? Then data equals to tips. Okay, good. So for example, I want to now know how many males, this is not how many females. I think that's what we want to get. We want to show how many males and how many what females. Is that not it? And you see, sometimes even the visual may not be so large. So with Python, it is easy. You can easily customize everything that you want there. Okay. So in that case, what I need to do, there's a function called, so you have plot.figure. That you can now specify the figure size. So fig size, okay. Then for the fig size, I can now specify, which size can we now put now? Which size? Okay, let's say 10 by 10. Let me see what that 10 by 10 will look like. Can you see it now? So let's say 5 by 10. If you are not sure, 5 by 10. So 5 becomes slimmer. So let's say 11 by, let's say 5. Or which other one again? Let's say 12 by 6 by 3 by 8. Is this okay? Or we can make it slimmer a bit. Let's say 8 by 8. Is this okay?
Yes.
This
All right.
it looks
Good.
better.
It looks better now. Okay. So fixed size. So fixed size will help you to fit it the way you want. Okay. Now, but you see, for the labeling, there's usually a, what do you call it now? You have to go to the documentation and check. Let me see, for labels. Let me try and remember that labels. For the labels, there's this thing that you need to write out. They call it annotate. There's an annotation you need to do, but that one you normally get it from the, what they call it now. You will get it from documentation. But let us, if I was to write the script out, right? So normally, if I have, okay, let me call this, let's say axis equals to AX. Okay, axis equals to AX. Okay, good. So everything I have here counts plot. So remember, I want to get the label here. Okay. So here, if I write the function for let's say I, or let's say for P in AX.patches. So there's this thing called patches there. Okay. Then what do I want to do? AX.annotate. What do I want to annotate now? Let's see. If I'm annotating, we have the, so I have to now specify everything .1f. So all this one you will get from their documentation, but you now have to format. Dot format. I have to now specify the height, get heights. And I have to now specify get X. So this is the only part that you just have to go and, so most times if you don't remember, I just go and copy and look for it on the listing and put it there. So let's say either 35 or let's switch number. Okay, let's use 35 there first. I don't know how big it will be now. Then get heights. Get heights. What do I need now? So close. Anyways, I hope. Let me say for P in. I don't know, will this one work? They didn't label it. Didn't label it. Too many values to unpack. Too many values to unpack. So let me see. So plot. Dot annotate. One F dot P get height. Okay. What I will do, let me look for it at this thing. Okay. So I think that was that command there. So you see, when you want to do the count, so can you see the count here now? Can you see the count here?
Yes, sir.
So this is from the doc. You have to go and look for it from the documentation. So what I can do, I just copy it and put on the chat for you guys. So anytime you want to plot it, you just go and change whatever you need to change there, and it will do all the calculation for you. So if, for example, I pick another one, let's say I pick day. Can you see that now? To count everything for me there. Which other variable was there? Tips.
Time.
Time.
Okay,
So if I have time, can you see that? Time. Which other one do I have there again? Smoker. Smoker. So you have 93 people that smoke, isn't it? Then if I say hue equals to what now? 6, right? So of these 93 people that smoke, 60 male smoke and 33 female smoke. Can you see that now?
yes.
So this is how you can now dimension them and put the distance. Okay. Is there another chart again that we will need? So we have seen some of the basic charts. We have seen scatter plots. We have seen joint plots. We have seen box plots. We have seen violin plots. Is it not? Which other one again have we seen? Which other one do we see again? Dist plots. We looked at dist plots, right?
Count plots, bar
Count
plots.
plot, very good. Heat map, is it not? So most times, as analysts, right, the ones you actually use there are things like what now? Which ones do you actually normally use? The basic one you use are what?
Count plot.
So use
Bar
count
plot.
plot. So take note of them. So we need count plot. So count plot, yes, count plot. Which other one?
Bar plot.
Bar plot, yes. Which other one?
Heat map.
Heat map, okay, yes.
Yes, it is. Dist plot.
Dist plot. Okay. Dist plot. Dist plot. Any other one?
No, like I remember.
Okay, those are the basic ones that we use, isn't it? But you know, again, like for example, in your what they call it now. You know, normally in your Excel, the most common one we use is which other one again? Is it pie chart? We use pie chart now, abi?
Yes, pie chart, bar chart.
Pie chart.
Yes.
We have bar chart there, but pie chart. Well, let me see. Pie chart. Pie chart should be pie now. So sns.py. Let me see. Pie chart. So that means Cbond doesn't have pie charts. Okay, let me see. Plt dot. Let me see. Plt.py. Okay. So it's matplotlib that has pie chart, right? So let's see, what's our data now? Data is equals to what? Tips, right? Let me see. Pie chart. So something is missing. Okay, let me just check the documentation. So we have X. So let me just copy. Do you have example here? Okay, no example. No example there. So let's look at it. So pi x. X will be my what now? My data, isn't it? Then what about the label? Do I have a label there?
I think X will be a variable, a column, then data will be the text.
Do I have data there? So I
Yes,
have
there's
data.
data.
Okay, so I have data there. So that means my X is going to be what? So let's say X is sex, isn't it? Data is equals to tips. Still did not pick it. What? Could not convert string to float, female.
Can we use a quantitative data? Let's try
Yeah,
quantitative data.
quantitative. You know, most of your pi will be for what now? Is it quantitative or quantitative now?
Should be
Yes,
for
you should have both now. Both quantitative and
Both.
qualitative. Let me see the documentation again. Let me see the documentation again. So here, do we have? So make a chart of X. Okay, well, let me see. Assuming we create, let me create one and see now. Let's create a data set and check now. So let's say I have data equals to, let's say I have 10, 20, 50, 80. Okay. Then let's say I have label. Let me just call these labels. Let's say I have, let's say A, B, C, D. So these are my labels, right? So let me go to that plot.py. Let me see what you're saying there. So I have my X here. I have my data. Okay. Okay. Now let me see it now. So if that is the case now, let me try and plot it now. Let's see if that will work. So we have pi. So let's say we have data. It has plotted this now, right? It has plotted this. So I just call it data and it plots. So in the other one now, why didn't he now pick it? Okay, because this one will just have one variable here. Okay, so we can call it data. So if I say labels equals to labels, let me see. Will that work? Work now. A, B, C, D. But for colors, I don't know what the colors will be. So let's just leave it like. So let's now look at this one now. So tips. Let me understand tips. Why is tips not working? Tips. So let me see tips. So how can we arrange it now that it now fits this particular one now? How can we now arrange it so that it will fit it? Because otherwise, if you cannot get it that way, that means you have to go and rewrite your own scripts. To do it. So let's see how else can we do it now? How else can we do it?
Can we try it again with putting tips like we did here? We just add that data there.
So let me see now. plt.py, put tips here, right?
Yeah.
But you see that tips, because there are many variables there.
Okay.
Do you get? So
Yeah.
like this one, it was just clear that this is just data. Okay, so what if I now call only, what now?
Sex.
Okay, if I call only
Yes.
sex, it didn't work. Still having the same problem. So let me see total bill. Let me see total bill. This one work. This one worked here like this, right?
So it seems it's only working for quantitative.
Quantitative.
Okay, so let me now see how can we now work around. So if I have 6 there, you know, if it was Excel, it would have just been easy to, but that one will just select quantitative by qualitative, right? But for this one, we need to create it ourselves.
Should we have total bill and then we'll put some label as sex? See if that will work.
Can we what?
Can we have the tips there, the total bill, and then the label will now be sex? Is it possible?
So here we have total bill, right?
Yeah.
Total bill. Then labels is equals to what?
Tips.
Tips, right? And here we have
Sex.
6, like this, right?
Yes.
All right, let's see if that work for us. Yeah, well.
It was.
Wow.
It worked, but it didn't.
The
It did not plot
interpretation.
it the way we want to see it.
Want it to plot it here?
Let me see pie charts. I'm trying to remember why I use pie chart. Let me see what else can we do for this pie chart. Okay, so if I go to help, this matplotlib, so let me say pie charts, bar charts, basic pie charts, labeling a pie and donut charts. Can you see here? So let me copy this guy out. Let me copy this guy out. Okay, so let me come here now. Let me paste. Let me run. Did this, you see this one run, is it not? You see how I went to the documentation, I picked it, is it not? And it ran.
Yes, sir.
So now what I will now do, so this is how I will learn my own. That means that I'll come and look for how can I structure my own data, is it not? To fit it like this. Do you see that? But you see here, they have called the function here. Okay, do you understand what is happening here? It's going to do its own calc. So by default, pie charts, this their pie chart does not plot it automatically. So you now have to write a function to do the calculation of the percentage for you. Can you see that? That's what they have done here. Okay, they will now write everything out. So let me see. So let me see. Let me see. So how do you now create our own to look like that? Because our own is coming from a pandas data frame. Is it not? So where can we put our own? Since our own is coming from a pandas data frame. Yes, so how else can we do our own? So what are we missing there?
I think our own data has too much record.
Yes. Right. But there should still be a way of doing it. There should still be a way of doing it. There should still be a way of doing it.
Unless we want to use a particular field to aggregate first,
Yes.
to limit the data.
And don't forget again that our own is already in a data frame. So unless we now have to, assuming we group by, so assuming we group by sex, right? Group by sex, then plot. I don't know, would that work? Can we group by then plot? I don't know if that will work.
You can try that, sir.
Okay. Because sometimes again, even if we have what do you call it now?
But so we group by day the other time when we have 4 records, Thursday, Friday, and others. We can, if we can plot with that.
Yes. Yes. Well, let me see another one. Let me see. If we have, let's say, so this is tips, right? Tips dot plot. Tips dot plot. Tips dot plot. If I run this tips dot plot. So what are you plotting here now? Okay, plotted everything together, is it not? So let me check the documentation.
Yes.
Here we can have X label, Y label. Okay. X label. So which is our X label now? Let's say 6, right? Let's say 6. Let's say this is 6. Then Y label will be total bill. Will this work? This one worked, right? But now this one is giving us line charts. I don't want line charts. That means there should be anything like chart type. Hey, look at it now. So kinds. So default is line charts. Okay, default is line charts. Default is line charts. Okay. So kinds. Kind is equals to pi. Did it work?
Still loading.
Okay, still loading. Hey, this one nearly worked too. So what's the problem here now? So it took. Okay, let me take this one out first. Okay, there must be y. So what if I take this as my y? Let me take the other one as my x. Comma. Invalid syntax. What is the problem? Okay. See, I don't understand what you are saying. No. Cannot categorical as first variable. So this first one must be y. This first one must be a categorical variable. So here is x, then comma y should be that. So is there another way again? Let's see. Is there another way again?
Can we say tips dot plot group by? That's okay. I can do
Tips dot what?
as in the plot. I'm looking at where you have X.
Okay.
Can we do? We can't do group
So
by.
let's do a group by Abby.
Yeah.
So let's say tips dot what? Let's say group by what now?
Sex.
Sex, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, let me see first. No methods object is not subscriptable. Not subscriptable. What does that mean now? So group by, let me say tips. Let me call unexpected. Let me close. Okay, group by. So this is a function. So tips. Okay, this one would have worked. So what I want to now do is to do a plot, right? 6. What if I do a plot? Then what kind of plot do I want to do? Let's say a pi. Will this work? It will work. Say pi requires either y column. Pi requires either y column. So we have sex and what now?
We do total view.
Let's say what? Total. Okay, wait. So normally, wait. I think what we are missing here. Let's go back to fundamentals. So the data would have been, let's say, male, female. Is it not?
Yeah.
Then let's say this is 10. Let's say this is 20. Is it not? So if I'm now plotting a chart, I should now have maybe 10 here. Let's say 20 here, Abi?
Yes.
So it means that I would have added up this to get maybe like 30. So this will now be 10 over 30. This is 20 over 30.
Yeah.
Something like that, Abi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what if I now come here and we now sum it up? Can we sum it up? Can we sum it up? So
Okay,
let's
can we run this one? Can we run this one first? And
so
see
let's sum up. Which one you say?
the one we were trying to run first.
Okay, I was giving error now.
Okay.
So I want to see where the problem is coming from. So total. So what does it say? Key error total. Okay, sorry, total bill, it's not total bill. Hey, it has worked now.
So it's like, can you take out that dot sum? How do you see if that will work without it?
Okay, dot sum, right?
Since we grouped by. Okay, you did it this way.
So dot sum. Okay, look at what it has done now. You see that why sometimes, that why I say, if you go back to fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
To understand what is happening, what you actually want. That why I say, understand what you want to do first. Before you now come and be looking for what syntax will work. Okay, so this one work now, right? This one has worked. So let's see. So if I was to do, let's say, which other one do we have there? Let's say by day. Let me see. By day. Okay, correct. If I do, which other one again do they have? By what? By time. Lunch. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. That one has worked. So if you are doing your pie chart now, so this is how you are going to do it. Okay. You will need to first of all add up. Can you see the variable? You first of all have the categorical variable first. Is it not?
Yeah.
That data that you have there, you now need to add them up. So if it's based on that, it's going to now plot it. Okay, based on whatever variable you want to give. So that is how to do your pie charts. Okay. So most times, just go to your documentation. So once you go to your documentation, you will now start looking for how to do them. Okay. So you see how I went to help. Then just type there, then copy it and paste. Then go and try and understand. So if you now come back now, so if you come back to this one now, you see how this one has all the details that you require. So by now, there are certain things, if we see now, we should be able to read it to understand what they are trying to do. Is that not it?
Yes, sir.
So we should read it. We should now be able to understand what we are now trying to do. Okay. So those are just the basic things that we needed to look out for. Then if you are going into, so I think with this, we are okay with charts now. We are okay with most of the basic charts. So I think next week, I think next week we should be going into, what do they call it now? Next week, I think we should go into machine learning. Because I think we have covered most of the basic charts that we need to learn. Okay. Most of the basic charts that we need to learn. Yeah, these are the basic charts that we just need to learn. Okay. But while you are learning, you can still come across, in case there are some other charts that you are interested in. Like somebody mentioned the funnel chart, isn't it? So I don't think that funnel chart is part, but you can also look for it. Funnel chart and maybe add maybe funnel chart to it. Okay. But those ones, I'm not sure they are like a part of this thing. So you have to now create that funnel chart. Or if there's a particular library, because this chart that we use Seaborn and Matplotlib. There's also another library called Plotly. It's called Plotly. I don't think I have that. Let me see, import Plotly. Okay, yes. So there's a library called Plotly. Okay, there's a library called Plotly. If we have, let's say, for example, let me see, Plotly. So if I say import, so let me do it like this: import Plotly as, let's say, Plotly. Okay, Plotly.express. I think that is the full name. Plotly.express as PX. I think this is the full name. Plotly.express. Okay. So we have our data. So let's say we have, let me say PX dot. Let me see. Do I have? Okay. I think this one has, I think this is the one that has funny. This should be the one that has funny. Let's say data, our data is tips, right? Our Y label. Which one is our Y label now? Our Y label, let's say total view. Let's say our X label is what?
Sex.
X. Okay, let's say, no, let's say day, because that's so that we'll have a funnel. You know, the funnel would have had, let's say day. Will this one work now? But unexpected keyword data. Okay, let's say px.funnel. Okay, there's there now. So here, data frame. So it's called data frame. This line is called data frame, not data. So this one is called data frame. Will this one work? Oh, this is what we are looking for. I'm not sure this is what it should look like. Oh.
Yes, sir.
It's supposed to be inverted now, isn't it? It's supposed to be inverted.
Yes, sir.
It's supposed to be inverted. So let me see. It's going to be inverted.
I think for us to get appropriate shape, there will be need for something for us to sum, just like pie chart also. You know, the funnel is also composition of each box is a composition of total.
Yes, yes. So cannot show the figure. But why is he using it?
Okay, Dr. First, I think I'm the one causing the confusion. It's actually tree map.
Tree map. Okay.
Yes, tree map.
No, but even at
map.
that, okay, tree map.
Yes.
Tree map.
Yes, yes.
Tree map. Okay, tree map. Which one has tree map now? Seaborn. I don't know that Seaborn has tree map. So tree map is that one that has it's in box, isn't it? Box.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Just like your pie chart, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It's not like pie chart.
Okay, tree. But there should be a live. I think either you can use this Plotly. I don't know that Plotly.
I will also read on it.
Yes, either Plotly. I think Plotly can do it. Plotly can do it, but you call it tree map, is it not?
Yes, sir.
You call it tree map, Abi. So maybe Plotly should be able to do it. Because Plotly is one of the. So let's say px.tree map. You have tree map there. And we have tree map now. There's tree map here. But hopefully, okay, let's see that come out. So we need data frame. We need name values. Do they have any example here? No example. Okay. So let's try. So you have what? The data frame. So it's called, so in the other ones, they'll call it data, but this one we call it data frame. So data frame is what? Tips, Abi?
Yes, sir.
Data frame is tips. Then we have what again?
Values.
Values. Which one is now the values now? Values.
I use total bill.
Okay, values is total bill. What again did they have? Values. Was anything like labels or anything?
No, you had values, you had data frame. You had another distance. Just for check, I can't remember.
Okay, let's say tree map. So shift. So you have names.
Names.
So which one is names? Okay, names.
Sex.
I want to use so that it come out in that shape. Names. Let's say day. Which one we have? Day, right?
A day.
So let's try that off. Is it creating anything? Is it creating?
You sure that that's finished running?
Oh, it has finished running, but it's not showing anything now.
I'm not showing anything.
Let me see.
It's not showing anything. It's not showing anything.
Are we supposed to
If it's
put
not
in
calculating it
it?
now, let me see. Let me see now. So we have data frame, right? I'll try this one. So funnel and tree map. Yeah.
Yes,
So we
sir.
can try that. So maybe by next week I will try and, or if I get it, I can just drop it on the group chat.
Okay, sir.
But I'll check this one again. But hopefully next week, let us try and enter machine learning.
Okay,
So that
sir.
means by next month, most likely we should be done with Python next month.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right,
Dr.
no
Francis.
problem.
sir.
All right,
Yeah.
take care.
Yes, sir.
All right, bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. Bye.
All right, no problem. Take care.
Wale,
Ogami, sir.
we'll call you on phone.